Hello, I'm Robert, and this is to help people who are scared of all this talk about Russia invading Ukraine. And they've even given a date. And that's such a. I've never come across anything like this. So, it's like there's some things you never have pre announced dates for. You never say, I'm going to rob your bank on the 16th of February. Who would say that? Or, I'm going to invade your country on the 16th of February. So, it's just not the way things are done, for the obvious reasons that if you tell people you're about to invade them, then they're ready for you. And so I did this rather joking, this meant as a joke, a satire, a complete joke. So it's, imagine that President Putin's defense secretary says, are we going to invade on the 16th? And President Putin says, yes. NATO and Ukraine expect us on that day, so we must invade that day. And we said we weren't going to invade, and we've said that many times. Every day for a long time we've said we won't invade. And all our people are saying, oh, the Ukrainians are our brothers. And nobody in our country really wants to go to war, and they're really fed up of the whole thing. And negotiations are continuing, and we got a good, interesting offer from President Macron, and we're busily talking to everyone. And just to really sort of seal it, then our best ice skater, Kalina Valieva, is going to compete for gold on the very next day after this date of the 16th. So this is a perfect day to go and invade Ukraine, isn't it? Just the right day. And then I've got General Valery Gerasimov, however you say it. He said, okay, you've convinced me, let's do it. This is not meant to be serious at all. Obviously, they wouldn't make that decision. And hope that'll get you started thinking. This is what the TV are trying to persuade us is going on in the Kremlin. I made it a satire, but they're saying this, they're trying to persuade us that that's what they're actually doing. That they're making this decision, or they may make this decision, makes no sense. Just makes no sense at all. And then this is a video, you can go and play the video, about a dozen tanks. So apparently they've had a very wet, warm winter. So normally in winter is a good time for invasions and for military operations because the ground is very frozen. But in Belarus and presumably also in Ukraine, so in Belarus where they are doing these military exercises, then they've got the damp ground, and there, in this part of the world, when it gets damp, it gets really muddy. And by muddy, they mean you've got all these tanks. They have about a dozen tanks, and tanks are pretty good at going through mud. They're not like your ordinary car that will kind of get stuck on the ground, and yet, but this mud is so deep and so thick, and like a quagmire, and it's so deep that a tank can actually be completely swallowed up by the mud. Can happen. Tank drives over a soft spot, and it starts sinking, and then after a while, it's sunk right up to its turret. And these about a dozen tanks have all got sunk in this patch of mud during the exercises, and this is an excavator that is digging them out one at a time. That's normally civilian in civilian clothes. Is somewhere there. The people were standing around looking at it while they try to excavate the tanks. Now, imagine instead of happening in the middle of an exercise in Belarus, imagine that this is in the middle of an invasion in hostile territory in Ukraine, and they've got a dozen tanks stuck in the mud, and then they try and hire an excavator. And where they're going to get the excavator from? Well, maybe they bring them with them, excavators to dig out the tanks. And then you've got the Ukrainians, they have shoulder-mounted javelin missiles that can destroy a tank from a distance of, I think it's 2 kilometers or something. Or is it 4? I'm not sure. So several kilometers. And they work pretty much on autopilot. They fire this thing, flies up into the air, and they've got time to go and hide and go into shelter, and it automatically they give it a heat-seeking target, and they look at a little screen, and once they've told it where to go, they leave it and to do its thing. So it's very difficult for the Russians to shoot back and find these people that shot that are shooting at their tanks. So imagine doing all that in the middle of a war with enemies all around you and enemies behind your back line, behind you. Because even if you drive through Ukraine and you're invading the country, as you invade, you go past, and you're not going to kill everyone. You know, that's not what, well, people don't invade by killing everyone. So there are going to be lots of people behind you as well, and be militants sneak in there as well. So it's just not really. It's not going to be. It's not an easy country to invade, and all the tanks will be stuck in the mud, and they travel very slowly. And then this is about Valieva, who's now been cleared for the ice skating, and she has the short program tomorrow on Tuesday, and then she has a free skate, I think, and then free skate on Thursday. And the Russian are very, very keen on ice skating, and they're always they always have medalists for the ice skating in the Olympics. And this year, Valieva and two other young, it's the young ones that are really able to do really most strenuous ice skating. And she's able to jump up in the air and twirl around 4 times and then come down again before she comes down. And there are only a few girls in the world that can do that, a few women in the world that can do that. And in the Olympic Games, then the other two are Alexandra Trusova and the world champion, and they're all Russian. So Russia has the possibility of getting, of sweeping the podium, as they call it. And the last time that happened was with the United States in 1956. So this is going to be really quite a historic occasion for Russia, and that they may sweep the podium on Thursday and possibly on Tuesday. And so you've got the United States are claiming that just before this historic occasion in their favourite sport, one of their favourite sports, one of the national sports as it were, which is absolutely great deal of interest in Russia, that on that occasion this is the ideal moment to start an invasion of Ukraine. I mean, how does that make sense? And so I got this imagined conversation and saying, Putin says, the day before Valieva is likely to get the gold medal, absolutely the best day, this is satire again, that we're ever to start an invasion of Ukraine. Yes, we need to do it on the very day predicted by the US military, so that the US to the Ukraine will be at the highest level of alert. And we waited for months in 2021 for just the right moment. And then we went away again. We didn't find the right moment in 2021. And we waited for months again in 2021 to 2022. And now we're here. And then the Defense Secretary, so I imagine him saying, there's so much going for it. Our tanks are getting stuck in the mud after a warm winter. And Ukraine has just got a consignment of Stinger anti-aircraft weapons from Lithuania on Sunday. And they have over 1,000 Javelin anti-tank weapons. And our helicopters and tanks are now more vulnerable than they have ever been. And they have Neptune's cruise missiles that can hit our targets 300 kilometers away. And they've been holding many training exercises. Many of the civilians are also armed and doing military exercises. And we've been waiting for over a year for this moment, and now it's here. And President Putin says, and negotiations are underway. Macron presented me with an interesting proposal that will achieve many of our aims. And we've been denying that we will invade every day for weeks. And our citizens in Russia say they don't want us to invade. And we've been calling Ukraine our brothers. And we've done no propaganda efforts to try to boost morale or paint it as a just cause for our soldiers. And the situation in the Donbass region is about as peaceful as it's ever been. There's nothing we can present as any kind of a legal pretext to invade. There's no unrest, nobody asking us to intervene as peacekeepers. This is the ideal moment. This is the moment we've been waiting for the last year. Dust off your plans to invade. Wednesday, 16th of February is the day. And then General Valery Gerasimov says, okay, you've convinced me, let's do it. So that's all satire. There's no way they're going to do that. And then Zelensky, this was on the news as suggesting that he wanted to, that he thought they would invade, but that's not really what he said. He said, we are told, and that's my emphasis, that February 16 will be the day of attack. We will make it Union Day. The decree has already been signed, so on. So he said he's going to have a great big celebration and say that we have freedom and we're ready to vote for it, and the 14,000 people who have died are watching us from the sky, and we will not be will not betray their memory, and we want to live happily. So then they're all going to sing the Ukrainian national anthem, which has this thing about it's going to be the land of the free and the sunshine, and about how they're ready to put their lives on to sacrifice their lives to protect their country. That's the Ukrainian anthem. And then they've got the land of the Cossacks. And this is the Ukrainian flag with the Cossack in there. And so, and this is it. Let's just do this bit. So that's what you want to do. You can have lots of singing the national anthem and flying the blue and yellow flag. And that's the old one. The new one is just like blue and yellow. The old one was blue and yellow with kind of, well, one of many older flags. And that's basically what's going to happen on the 16th. There's not going to be any war. There's just going to be lots of people singing and waving flags in Ukraine. And excuse me. That's just something that went down the wrong way. So then I'm going to go through this detailed analysis, but I'll take a break at that. I'll just do the satire. I'm just that Zelensky is yeah, so there we are. And then because it was followed up immediately by National Security Council, saying there's we are fully aware of what's happening today on the territory of our country. We are aware of the risks, but the situation is absolutely under control. Moreover, we do not believe today that a large-scale attack by the Russian Federation could take place on 16th or 17th of February. We don't expect it, we don't see it. So that's what Ukraine say. And if you look at United States, they have so many examples of flawed intelligence, like the weapons of mass destruction with the Iraq, and I mean, for the last month they've been saying that Russia's going to invade every day and nothing happens. And I think if we so I'm going to show you this analysis next, but I'll do this as a separate video so we can have nice short videos. So this is the best analysis I've ever seen, expert military analysis from the Center for Defense Strategies in Ukraine itself. So these are Ukrainian experts who know all about Ukraine and looking at the military problems that Russia would have if they invaded Ukraine. So I'll talk about that in my next upload. I'll just upload this, and so hopefully you can see now that it doesn't make sense. And I mean, why? There's a lot of puzzling over why the United States is doing this. I don't believe that the US generals really think it's going to happen. I don't know quite why they're doing this. I think it's a kind of misinformation campaign or disinformation campaign of some sort. That, in some sense, it suits their purposes as a build-up, not to war, but as a build-up to negotiations and debate and so on. And maybe they feel that continually saying this will be a way to make sure that Russia does not invade. That you don't need to listen, it's not going to happen. doesn't make sense. So I'll just stop the recording. That's why I look up to the right because I've got to go there, click there to stop the recording.